with is our daily half-hour broadcast, perhaps our weekend half-hour broadcast. There are some short feature broadcasts we also produce. Putting that together, it's integral what happens in here. We have sound engineers. They're involved in basically just improving the sound, not improving the teaching from the Grace Church pulpit, but the technical aspects of the sound, boosting the quality there, and that will pertain to what goes on our internet, the CDs we produce, MP3s, all of that, and as well as the audio that ultimately goes on radio. We also have content editing happening in here, I should say, for both our English language broadcast and our Spanish language broadcast, Gracias a vosotros. The content editing is simply because John preaches for an hour each time at Grace Church. He'll do one sermon in the morning that's an hour, another sermon in the evening that's an hour. Too much for a half-hour broadcast, obviously. Basically, we split those broadcasts in half, and then there's even some additional content that needs to come out simply for radio airtime. A half-hour broadcast really translates to about 28 minutes. We have an announcer, Carl Miller. He takes about 3.5 to 4 minutes each day, so there's additional editing that needs to happen, and it's seminary-trained people that have been doing that for years and years. They're theologically astute. They preserve the content, the flow of John's outline, and just do what we need to have removed for radio. So for right now, I think I'll just take you right in to, you just follow me, I'll take you in to where John actually does his recording when he's with us. I'll explain a little more once we're there. These suites here, these are where the engineering happens, audio work and the editing, content editing that I mentioned. Let's see if I can get you all in here. I think we will fit. It's heavy. We'll find out. Even though there's a number of people in this room and the doors are all open, you may even notice that the sound quality is a little different in here. This facility is engineered very well for our needs to keep it very quiet. Everything from the walls, which are 2 plies of sheetrock with an air gap and another 2 plies of sheetrock, the ceiling tiles, the air conditioning ducting, the angles even of the walls, the angles of the glass, it all works together to create a very good and quiet sound environment, which is important for the work that we're doing here. Specifically what happens in this room, from this chair, this is where John will record the 1.5 to 2 minutes he has each day interacting with our announcer, Carl Miller. As I explained, of course, the sermons, that all emanates from Grace Church, but here there is that opportunity he has each day, and it's important to John, to speak directly to the listener as much as we can on a radio broadcast, but that's important to him. And this is the opportunity that he has to maybe respond to a question about an issue that isn't directly covered in that day's lesson or in the text that he was preaching through. It's just an opportunity for him to expound a little bit more on that. He'll introduce a new study that he is starting that day. He'll talk about the MacArthur Study Bible, maybe a book he's published. He'll take a call from our question and answer line. Maybe you've heard that occasionally where people will call in and he will just interact with their questions in much the same way that he would do in just a personal counseling setting at Grace Church. He is very gifted at what he does. He is a craftsman. He is unrehearsed and unscripted when he comes in here. There is a piece of paper here. This is an example of what he has in front of him during a recording session. Basically, he just has a question on paper that Carl Miller is going to be asking him. He'll look at it for a couple seconds and go from there. In fact, Jay, can you just cue up this? This will give you a taste of what happens during a recording session.
Okay, broadcast 6376.
No, it doesn't surprise me at all. I remember, Carl, when I first preached this series many, many years ago at Grace Community Church, it went crazy. The church went crazy. Literally, the crowd swelled within a week, 1,000 people more than a normal Sunday morning congregation. People were standing in the aisle, standing in the back. We actually had to vacate the choir loft because so many people were pouring into the church. We had to put them up in the choir loft behind where I was preaching. ABC, NBC, CBS, all the networks showed up in the patio, started interviewing the women in our church because they couldn't believe that these women would come and listen to some guy say the things that I was saying. It ended up on the front page of the Los Angeles Times. I ended up on the nightly news at NBC trying to defend these things because they were so countercultural. Now, this series has been a barn burner since the get-go. and it's the same even today. The series, again, is The Fulfilled Family. And we don't talk in general things. We talk about very specific issues. How should a husband function? How should a wife function and a mother function? What is the right behavior for a wife? And should she be in the home or in the workplace? And what about the kids? And how do you raise them? All of these things. And they come right out of the Word of God from the original architect of marriage, God Himself. Stay with us.
That's going to grab people's attention and keep it.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's great. Hearing you say...
That's the first time you said that in 20 years. Finally.
That's not true. I just finally decided to put my finger on the microphone.
So you can see we have a very, very good rapport here, a great working relationship with John. He's very deferential to us. He has a busy schedule with his involvements, not only the church, but Master's College, Master's Seminary. He comes in here and he gives us what we need. He'll do actually 3 weeks worth of those spots at a time. And he is just a master at it, and he does it all with this clock that you can, maybe some of you see there, staring him in the face, counting down the time that he has to get it all done in. But he just does just really a marvelous job for us. A question that occasionally comes up is, what is John like in this environment when he's just sitting in front of a microphone talking to maybe 3 or 4 people as opposed to preaching to 3,000? Really, he's the same person. What drives him is theology, God's truth. That really is his mindset. His concerns are for his congregation, but also for the church at large. His concern is for us, is for you, and the trends that are affecting the church. Of course, he's a family man. His wife Patricia and 4 children, 15 grandkids. These are the things that drive him, I think, all the time. So it really is just a joy to be here. I can speak for all of us on the staff. It's really just a privilege to be here, and it's a special joy for us to have this time with you today. As I say, it is important to John to have as much one-on-one contact with you as we can have, and that's, of course, why we're having this conference, but that's why we do what we do. That's why we structure the broadcast in the way that we do, so that he can sit down and have that time with you, and it is just a privilege to be here, and I know you're all here because you love God's truth, and as we do too. Everyone that works here, we are all members of Grace Church. We're at Grace Church every week. This really is an extension of the Grace Church family here. What else can I tell you? Well, there is an interesting statistic that I have heard. It's maybe surprising, but you hear so much today, particularly in secular media, that social media, Facebook, internet is just taking over, and radio is going away. And yet there is a statistic that I've seen where 200% more people in a given week are using radio than are using Facebook in a month. And those numbers have shifted a little bit, but just to tell you that radio is very important and will continue to be important to what we do. We take advantage of other media too. We take advantage of the internet. We've been, I think, pretty cutting edge on that. We've had a web presence since 1995. And we will continue to take advantage of every opportunity we have to get God's truth out to God's people, and we are covering the world, really. So I just thank you again for being here today, and the tour will continue now, and basically I will stand back as you have that way, and I will follow you out. Thank you. Thank you.
There's your
What are you doing? Don't tilt it. It's a video camera.
Sideways.